listeners the long goodbye, and they're not wrong. That's how it was every day. As Joy's disease progressed, I found myself in a position of having to be an advocate. I became her power of attorney. I had to make difficult decisions about care, treatment. I brought her to so many doctor's appointments. I was in the emergency room all the time because of her health issues. It was hard. I'm just a house painter. I don't know anything about this stuff, and it was very difficult for me. I didn't know anything about skilled nursing, assisted living, UTIs, PRNs, echocardiograms, blah, 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 on and on it went. And I was ill-equipped. I was unprepared. But what I discovered with my family is that I had a complete support group. And it was, I don't know what I would have done. I can't even imagine having to go through this without my family and the resources that they applied. I'd like to thank some people and just mention them by name. I haven't, I'm gonna forget someone and I'm gonna forget some details. Please don't be slighted. I appreciate you all very much. Lori Weir was Joy's friend for over 30 years. She was so helpful. She helped me with paperwork, applications. She kept track of Joy's finances. She was always there. I called her and I leaned on her, and she never was too busy. She never denied me. Ray and Carol Weidenfeller. Carol is Joy's long friend for decades as well. They came to visit Joy when she was in isolation during COVID. They went out of their way to take her to lunch. Carol once said that Joy said to me that I'm not gonna remember you, Carol. And Carol responded, that's okay, because I'll remember you. And that means a lot when I heard that, you know. Ray Weidenfeller took over Joy's insurance stuff. He went out of his way. This stuff is all super complicated for me. I'm not good at filling stuff out, and I don't have the right information. Ray took it upon himself to take care of that, and she was well insured because of it. She had the best care, and I appreciate that. Judy Schilling, her knowledge, her tenderness, she took me and Joy to the doctor. I didn't have to go, but I needed Judy there. Judy took notes, started a food log to make sure her nutrition was proper. She asked the right questions that I was clueless about, and coached and guided me through a couple of these appointments and taught me how to do it. Vicki Gelderloos, Sarah Schoen, I hope I'm saying your last names right. You took care of Joy every day. And again, like we were saying with Larry, just above and beyond, stuff that wasn't your job. And I could call you anytime. You never turned me down, and you always helped me. And I appreciate it so much. My cousins, whenever I knew I could count on them. I knew I could call and ask for favors. They never denied me. Lenny made sure that Joy got a bed right away when she needed one. She needed to have her room treated, and Lenny and my cousins made sure that stuff got done when I couldn't. And it's just stuff like that. The support from my cousins and my family was everything to me, and it really made the difference. It paved the bumpy road. You know, we still had to travel down the road, but they made it smoother. You know, we couldn't take a detour, but it was better because of them. I'd like to thank my cousin Kim, who went out of her way. She came to Rest Haven in Joy's last days just to offer support and comfort to Joy and the family, as many others did, and we appreciate all that. I'd like to thank my wife, who has just supported me all the way around. She was my rock, she was solid. I would come home depressed, snappy, you know, and she handled it all. I'd like to thank my daughter, Mia, who also visited Joy and comforted her in the last days. She was a great comfort to Joy. Joy loved her very much and knew her. She never forgot who we were, even at the end. She remembered us, and when people would go and visit her, it had an effect. It made her time more comfortable and easier. I'd like to thank Traver, Joy's grandson. He came hours before Joy passed to visit her at Rest Haven. He played his guitar. She loved the Beatles and he played some of that. She wasn't very responsive then, but you could tell that she could hear you. She cried when Traver was playing his guitar for her, and I know that it meant a lot to her. Uncle Larry mentioned that we had some sitters at the skilled nursing facility, Rest Haven. These people became Joy's friends. They weren't supposed to do anything. She was already in a skilled nursing facility, fully staffed, and the staff there wondered why there was a healthcare worker sitting in Joy's room. They called me and they're like, there's a stranger in Joy's room and she's being less than forthcoming about who she is. I don't know if you know Patty Espinoza, but Patty was one of her healthcare workers, and Joy, although she just met her, she thought they were old friends. We go way back, Joy would say, you know, and I don't know what I would do without Patty. So Patty was an advocate for Joy's health. She went out in the hallway and got her healthcare workers. She comforted Joy, and so did Sherry Brown. She was another sitter. Sherry Koning. Their knowledge, professionalism, tenderness, and friendship was a great comfort to Joy. Someone couldn't always be there visiting Joy, so she would have been alone at times at night, and Uncle Larry made sure that she had private duty. No one's ever had private duty in a nursing home before. I think it's the first time in history, and they were as baffled by it by us, but they were friends. They made a connection, and it was wonderful to see. Social Club. I wanted to thank Social Club. They looked after Mom every day. You know, it's I don't know why they call it Social Club. It's really not very social. but they did. It's a caretaking arrangement that you have for the dementia patients, and it gives someone to look after them. I know I'm forgetting someone. I wanted to thank the entire staff of healthcare associates. They did so many things behind the scenes that I don't even know about. I'd like to thank you for what you did, but I don't know what you did. So, but I know you did something, so thank you. And I'd like to thank the staff of Rest Haven. I know they're not here, but they were a big deal. I never saw anything like that with the skilled nursing and the old folks, and it's definitely a calling. It's not it's not a career that you get into because the pay is so good or the hours are so great. They're special people, and I appreciate it. And the staff of hospice as well. They sent us five people: doctors, nurses, chaplains, social workers. We took advantage of them all, and they were a great resource. I'd also like to thank Uncle Larry. He's always been around during Joy's life, and a source of support. At the end, he was there every day. He was giving great moral support. He gave financial support. Joy Joy needed a nice place to stay while she was going through this journey, and he supplemented her rent so she could have that. I don't know where she would have ended up.
Don't get us in trouble.
If it wasn't for not that one. He was there every day. He sent those sitters to watch Joy so she wouldn't be alone in the nursing home. Before Joy went to the nursing home, she was in independent living, and he was providing assisted living 24/7. They had someone watching her because she became a fall risk. She would wander, she could fall down. She did fall down. His concern is 24/7. He sent someone over there. They were in a room at night to watch her, make sure she didn't like that, so she kicked them out. So Larry got a baby monitor, made him sit out in the hallway, so they could watch her, and it was a wonderful resource. And I don't know what we would have done. Again, I would have been completely lost. I could not care for her without the support group that I had. This journey was sad. It was hard, but some good did come out of it. I became closer to my family, my cousins, my uncle, and I'm eternally grateful for that. Joy was many things to many people. She was a daughter, a sister, a wife, an aunt, a grandmother, and to me, she was a mother. But that's not all Joy was. She was caring. She cared about her friends. She cared about animals. We all know how much she loved cats. She loved those animals and took good care of them. She was empathetic. She would internalize other people's pain and feel it herself. And it's a wonderful trait. She was loving, she was loyal, she was tender, she was quiet, she was soft-spoken. I don't remember one time she raised her voice. She got angry with me a lot of times, but she never yelled, she never raised her voice. She was quiet and tender. She never judged anyone. She accepted judgy. You know, most of all, she had all the things we strive to see in ourselves. And most of all, she was accepting. That I thought about it, I was thinking about all her attributes, and she was accepting. She accepted everyone, regardless of your race, your religion, your politics, whether you're gay, whether you were straight. She accepted you. She judged you by the quality of your character, and not by outside things that divide us all. She was honest, patient, trustworthy. She was a hippie. She was a rebel. She was a protester. She was at the Democratic National Convention. She almost ended up in Jonestown with Jim Jones. They got separated in Chicago, and she never made it to California. Her friend died there in Jonestown. And she was with her when they ran to Chicago. She was considerate. She was musical. She played the piano her whole life. She inspired other people to love music. She taught piano, and it was something that was her. She always had a keyboard, even close to the end. She was a free spirit. I believe that Joy lives on. And I know it's cliche, but she lives on in our hearts and our memories. When something triggers me or you, and you're reminded of Joy, you could be listening to a song, driving past a place, eating something, I don't know. She pops in your mind, and those are emotional times. They make me well up. But through my tears, I also smile. I smile and cry at the same time. I feel like those are visits from Joy, and she lives on. I'm gonna stop here. I have a song that resonated with me, and it made me think of Joy and Joy's journey, and maybe we could think of her while we listen to it. With that, our
tech guy.
Get it started. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
Long song, June.
Is it? Oh no, he told me to pull it. Show Alan. I know. Which one?
Well, we weighed all that from just a house painter.
I think we're going.
Don't fool yourself, Al. You're an amazing son, husband, and father.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you.
But
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't two blondes and a red. That's tough, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. Whew. Lenny, you said it right. Wow. House painter. You learned it, you had it. You had it, you always had it. You always did it, you did good. It really is good to see so many of you that have helped grow our company and caregived with so many people, some friends, and it's really good to see you and share the story of Joy Lynn. Earlier, there were some people here from Second Baptist Church, and that's where Joy Lynn and I grew up, was at Second Baptist Church, and hence we chose the verse, I chose the verse anyway, John 3:16, and the compass. And just 7 letters and numbers, but it's the fundamentals of Christianity, and that's where we started. Being Baptist, when we grew up, we knew 3 things: John the Baptist, John Deere, and John 3:16. Those were the things. And later on, John Cougar Mellencamp. But those are the things that we knew as Baptists. That's what we knew. But as our parents and our churches, they give us a compass. They give us a place to go. They help direct us. But ultimately, it's your choice, what you choose, what's true north for you. I talked to many people, the chaplains, and some of the people that are here about once you get your compass, you don't always head true north. I know that. I veered from true north. And Joy was no exception. Joy was just no exception to that. But I'm going to tell you, as Mark told you, this is ATL. According to Larry, this is the story of what God has given to us. It is my hope that you remember John 3:16 and you'll look at it. And when you see the compass, that you remember joy, and you remember that God loves us and God forgives us and God grants us everlasting life. Those who believe in Him. That is the basis of Christianity. I'm not saying you must believe that. You have the compass. You decide your true north. Look it up. Google it. There's a lot about it. But it really reveals God's love, joy, and peace. My brother Jim was born in 1940. I always say pre-Pearl Harbor. That's how our family starts. My parents were married in 1938. My brother was born in 1940. And the world changed in December of 1941. And my dad joined the Army in late 42 into 43. But when he left, my mom was pregnant with their second child. And her name was Ellen Kay. And during the time my dad was in the Philippines, he was with General MacArthur. He was a communication guy. And when he was in the Philippines, my sister Ellen Kay lived for 1 year, from 1944 to 1945. I have some letters that my dad wrote back about what he was going to do with little Jimmy when he got back, and all the hunting and fishing and stuff they were going to do. And I think what they really wanted was a little girl. So he gets back in 45, and in 1947 they get me. 9 pounds, 6 ounce, no neck boy. And I don't think that's exactly what they had in mind, because 22 months later was born, we're not Irish twins, but 22 months later was born Joy Lynn. And it was kind of the end of my life as I knew it. And with my brother was 8 years older than us. So we were just really an annoyance to my brother. My brother was a gearhead. So when I was 8, when we were 6 and 8 years old, he's like 15, 16. He's out cranking on cars, changing motors and transmissions down in some garage down the way, building something. And we were an annoyance because he had to babysit us, and he didn't like that at all. So but Joy and I, became really good playmates. So as a big brother who needed a little sister or vice versa, Joy and I fit that perfect. Just 22 months apart. We were playmates for every holiday, every vacation we took. I knew my parents loved us, and my mother's always told me that Joy loves me, but they loved you too, Jim, by the way, you know. But we were just an annoyance to him. So, but we just, you know, we lived on Hazen Street in Southeast Grand Rapids, and so those of us who worked with Joy and I, you knew how much we really cared for each other. And she was always there for me, and I took good care of her too, but to a fault at times. For I have always had the trouble of distinguishing what's helping people and what's enabling them. But I feel like my family is helping make progress, along with the lady who writes the checks, Lori. They remind me of if I'm really helping them or not. So I think that's a lesson I've learned. So how did Joy become Joy? Well, we grew up Southeast Grand Rapids, Burton and Eastern. We went to Elder School and on to Ottawa Hills High School. I graduated in 1965. Joy graduated in 1967. We had attended Second Baptist Church for a long time. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. She ran the Vacation Bible School. She was a piano player. And we went to church 3 times a week. We volunteered every other week at the Mel Trotter Mission by playing and singing to homeless and unfortunate people. Joy took piano lessons. I took trumpet and guitar lessons at the Christian Music Center near us. Joy played the cello in the orchestra. I played drums and cornet in the marching band. Joy learned to cook and sew, and we all had to learn how to do dishes and so on and so forth. But at least she gave me the option that I could play baseball and football at Garfield Park. So, but then the offshoot of that, I had to rake leaves on Saturday. But I didn't mind; it was good. So we would go on vacation. We took us to the UP in a tent. We go there a lot. We spent a lot of time there. And then we had some friends. They were World War II friends. While the men were gone, the women made friends. And when the men came back from the war, the women put these guys together. And one of the groups were the people by the name of Mixers. They lived up on Crockery Lake. They had kids near our age, and we always got along really good with the Mixer family. So every January 4th, they would have a birthday party for Joy for 17 years at her house on Hazen. They'd all come down. We'd get our picture taken against the wall, and you know, that was for Joy's birthday, and we did that, like I say, for 17 years. It was then I began to see the differences between her birthday and my birthday on March 24th. I mean, Joy always had a pretty good thing going on, so I'm teasing a little bit. So, but our generation, we took driver's ed at 15, we got our license at 16, we got a job at 17, and either we moved out of the house after graduation. We learned to cook, wash dishes, dry dishes, hunt, fish. We ate dinner together every night. We prayed before and after every meal. We prayed for missionaries at the end of the meal, and we learned memory verses. And one of the first memory verses we learned was John 3:16. We complained a bit about doing all these things and all the chores, but my mom was really the disciplinarian. My dad was very quiet like Joy. I am more, my brother Jim and I are more like my mother. We're a little more outspoken and we do some, but even if she was tough on us, and Jim, you got in trouble doing the dishes one time, right? Yeah. Yeah, he got hit in the head with a bowl, right? I mean, that would be abuse. That's probably what happened to the captain, but later, but my folks, they always let you know that they loved you. They just didn't let the sun go down on letting you know that they loved you. Grandma knew was a great mom. Joy and I both made a commitment to Jesus by the time that we were 12. That's what you did when you were Baptist, and both of us were baptized. I distinctly remember being baptized because I couldn't swim. And I was scared to death of walking down into that place and having that guy submerge me under because I couldn't swim. I remember that. Paul, I knew I wasn't going to join the Navy. Rich, I knew I wasn't going to join Navy. I know that. But it was a scary thing. And in all the years that I talked to Joy, Joy does not remember her commitment, but she remembers being baptized. And there's a sequence to that, so that meant something to me. So by December of 65, I joined the Army and returned home later in 1966. Upon my return, I could tell a change in Joy about the military involvement in Vietnam. By the time she graduated and moved out, she had become active in the anti-war movement, but never gave me any gas about being involved in the Army or finishing my commitment to the Army Reserve Medical Units until 1971 when I discharged. In 1968 was a big year for us and America. A lot of things were going on. In January of 1906, my father died. He was 50 years old. And he had MS. He had something that had bothered him in the Philippines. He was a disabled vet, and the vets took good care of us. But in 68, many things. First of all, I got married in July of 68. Martin Luther King got shot in 68. The Tet Offensive was a really turning point in the Vietnam War, and it didn't look like we could really win. It looked like they had been telling us that we were going to do something, that we could win this thing. But then when Tet hit, it really changed the way America felt. That year, the Democratic Convention was in Chicago, and Joy had been working at Blodgett Hospital. She quits her job at Blodgett Hospital, and she goes with her friend Mary Jansma and a Michigan, kind of a hippie delegation. They go down to Chicago into Grant Park, where this is just, because I had to look this up because I wondered why I didn't get my butt beat too. But I went down 2 or 3 days before that really hit the fan. I didn't know where she was, but I went down because my mother called me and she said, I want you to go to Chicago and get Joy Lynn. Really? You want me to go? There were 10,000 people. There were 12,000 policemen, 8,000 National Guard, plus like 10,000 other people that were there. She said, well, she's with the Michigan delegation. Well, and they had signs, like they do in conventions and stuff. So Arlene went with me, and I parked about 9 or 10 blocks out of Grant Park. I walked in. I was still in the military myself. I had a khaki jacket, Army jacket on. No one gave me any trouble. I walked in. I started looking around Grant Park to see if I could find the Michigan Coalition. I ran into somebody who knew me, and they said, see, Kim, you're not the only one who runs into people, knows you. So I ran into somebody. I said, have you seen Joy? Do you know where the Michigan Coalition is? Yeah, they're over by the Free Stuff store, which is over by, there was some statue or something there. And really all the free stuff there was, is people would leave crap all over and they just throw it in the pile. It was free stuff, that's all it was. But Joy was there at the Democratic Convention in Chicago. And I did whatever I could. She said, no, I'm not going home. Plus, she had met a guy there by the name of Alan. And I could tell that she wasn't coming back. So she said, but come and spend the night with us. And so Arlene and I went, I don't know where we went. I went to get my car or whatever, but we walked to a place that she was staying, and we stayed with them. And she wasn't going to come home. And I said to Arlene, we got to get the heck out of here because this isn't a good thing. So as things heated up, the riot started the next week, turned into a police riot. There were a lot of people injured and a lot of things carrying on. Chicago 7 was tried later on. And it was in this turmoil about the war and because of Martin Luther King got shot, America was in turmoil. I'd already been activated in 67 for the riots of Detroit. Federally, I was activated in 68 to help run a medical clinic in Detroit again when Martin Luther King got shot. But things that the country was in turmoil, and I knew Joy Lynn wasn't coming back. So she said, I'm going to California, Redwood Valley. I'm going to a place called the People's Temple with Mary Jansma. And so I said, oh, well, okay, so, because she wasn't going to come with me. So I left her in Grant Park, took off, and my mom, I talked to my mom. There were no cell phones. They had to go find a phone booth. I said, Mom, she's not coming home. She's going to go to California. And Joy called me at home a day or two later, and she said, I can't go to California because I want to be truthful with you, is that the guy you met as Alan, his name isn't really Alan Ford, it's really Bill. And Bill's a deserter from the United States Army. He had done AIT, and he was an engineer, which they just cleared mines and did not good things for themselves. But he was not going to go to Vietnam. So he was a deserter, and so she couldn't go to Redwood Valley, to the people town. She moved and got married. She moved to Montreal, Canada, and that's where she had 2 children, Alan being the first.
And favorite.
Okay, and Dylan couldn't be with us tonight, but his son, so Trevor, thank you for being, and you look like our good friend Dylan as well. So, but he couldn't be with us. So you see how close that was for Joy Lynn. She could have went the other way, and then 10 years later, from 68 to 78, they would have been in California. Mary makes the journey, goes to the Guyana, and she dies over there with her husband Peter and their 2 children. So I feel God was looking after her in that respect. Ten years pass. I'm working as an EMT at Bud's Ambulance, but decided to go back to school. And 1978, I'm working a summer job for Representative Paul Henry. Gerald Ford wasn't reelected, probably because he pardoned Nixon. Democrats get in. Carter sets up a program and says, look, you guys were probably right by either draft dodging or going deserting. They set up a special program for them to come back. And he said, if you want your brother-in-law to do this, let me know. I'll set up the paperwork. Call Bill and Joy. Of course, they were excited about it, but they didn't trust that it was going to work out. We talked to some other people in Canada, and it turned out to be true. And we went down to Fort Benjamin Harrison, and we were able to work out some details. He was given less than an honorable discharge, but they were able to come back to the States. And you were about 9 or 10 years old at the time, right?
Yeah.
So he'd been away. They had visited us, we had visited them. I thought I had wanted to go to medical school. I couldn't make it into a medical school that was in the United States, so I had to do something different. I was working private duty, so in 1980 I started Healthcare Associates. Joy was the first 11 to 7 aide that I had. She worked there, and she took a certificate course at Grand Rapids Community College, and she helped start the accounting and billing department until she retired. She brought in good people. Her friend Lori, who she had met at Kmart, and they had worked for a while in accounting or billing or something there, and she brought over Lori, who's been with us now 27 years. My friend Lisa from our neighborhood, she came, and so we that department is probably one of the strongest departments in our company because of the lack of turnover. But she brought in good people, and I appreciate that very much. And Alan's already said it, Lori, but thank you, because you really took care of all the details, all the bills, all the stuff, all the looking after, all the little things that if you let a guy handle, you know what'll happen. It ain't gonna happen today, you know that, it'll happen another day. So, in closing, I ask that you pray for her family, Alan, Lisa, Mia, as well as Dylan, Trevor. We owe so much to those who cared for us and cared for her. It really boggles me. I think of this as like God surrounded her with such good people of faith took good care of her. What a blessing for her. She happened to be at the right place at the right time. Pretty nice. The compass. John 3:16. I hope you remember it. It's not a new argument about who gets to heaven. I can't pray her into heaven. I can't wish her into heaven. There's few ways, maybe only one, that you can get in. But from my memory, she accepted. Now, did she always follow true north? No. Did I disagree with her? You bet I did. Did she make some decisions? Yes. When she went to Montreal, she went east, and she came back west. And there were some times in her life she went deep south on me. I don't know where the hell she was going. And I don't mean geographic either. It was an interesting move for her. But she had the compass. And that's all I, as a person, that's all I, as a brother, that's all I can be thankful for. When the time came with hospice to call in chaplains, it was not me that called the chaplains in. It was Alan. Alan said, I want you to feel comfortable with this process that we're going through, because I think he sensed what was going to happen, although we thought it would go on for a while. We didn't think it was going to go so fast. But Uncle Larry, I called Matt DeWitt and Mark Trumpy were the guys that served us. Judy Hopp was our hospice nurse. I called her 2 days later, and she said, you could have knocked me over. She said, I called my supervisor. I do not know what happened. It just like it caught them off balance too. I don't know. But if we see those signs again, Alan, we would certainly know, wouldn't we? That the end is coming. So thank you again for coming and caring. I'm going to ask my grandchild, Bryce Patrick Treece, where is he? He's going to come and say the Lord's Prayer for us, okay?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Thine is the king. When we use the Baptists, we go, thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. I know how Catholics and how you guys say it. That's how we would do it. So, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to say something else?
Amen.
Thank you. That's good. You meant a few words. I like that. This is a song that Joylyn played, and I thought I'd play it, by Eva Cassidy. It's a good song.
Treece, and I'm Joy's favorite nephew. I just want to open up. We kind of want this time to share some stories. If anybody has any memories of Joy that they'd like to share. To me, it's Aunt Joy. You know, speaking of her, fun, loving, and unassuming. A lot of my memories of, you know, with aunts and uncles, especially with Aunt Joy and Alan and Dylan, was the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. They're always coming. They would always come over. We'd always hang out as family. And I remember they were coming back from Canada. They had this big, I think it was a Chevy or Ford step-side truck, and it was just loaded to the gills in the back when they're coming over. And they would always come over for the holidays. Would you know, hang out, have fun, play around as family. And there was always the time too of the 4th of July where Aunt Joy would always come out, and she made her, we call it Aunt Joy's spaghetti salad. And she would come over and she would bring these big buckets of spaghetti salad to feed the family, which I ended up eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. We just loved that, and I contribute that to my weight gain recently. So, yeah. So, but Joy, she was, you know, around the holidays, she was fantastic with her. But I do have, on a serious note, I had the opportunity. My biggest memory, it's not up here. I went and seen Joy on June 1st of this year, and I stopped out at Settlement Point. I seen Joy walking around out there. I was able to take some time, walk the campus with her. She had this favorite route that she would do, and I sat down, or we walked around for a while. We talked about a lot of things, and I knew she wasn't Aunt Joy anymore. I knew she slid. But that day and that conversation we had for about 45 minutes was pretty lucid. She was pretty clear. We reminisced about a lot of things. We talked about a lot of things, and I can tell you she was happy. She liked her days. She liked the way things were going. She liked what her family was doing for her, coming out to visit her, and she was at peace. And I knew one of those things hit you that day where I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is the last time I'm going to have a conversation with Aunt Joy. I knew it, and it was on June 1st. I have that picture, but I'll never forget it because it was a good conversation. She was happy. I felt that peace, and I knew when I left, I had that feeling that was my last talk of Joy. So I miss her. So, anyone else who have a Joy story, please?
I've known Joy for 38 years. I met her when I went to work for Larry at Healthcare Associates, and at a staff meeting, she found out I had the same birthday as her, and that was it. We just clicked from that point. She usually spent either the day of or the day before after. We'd always go out to lunch, and she just had this sweet thing about her where she loved to open a door for me and go, after you, I insist. And that was from Chip and Dale from Disney. She just loved that cartoon, and I know Lori knows these things too. And as we'd look through the menu, she would say, what should we eat? And I'd say, I don't know, what do you think? Oh, let's get this indubitably. That was another thing she'd like to say, just indubitably. And as her Alzheimer's progressed, she'd say that phrase so many times to me on the phone. You know, it was like, after you, hang up, you hang up, after you. And she would giggle and laugh, and she loved music. She would play the piano, and when she couldn't play anymore, she would listen to me, and I played the organ at her church, so I'd take her to church some Sundays when she could, and she'd sit and listen and go, and you could just see how much she loved and enjoyed music. That was the biggest part of her life that she loved. She could write it too. She even scored some songs for me years ago. And I played those for her before she got really bad. She said, I remember that. I don't know if she really did or not, but God bless her for that. She had a sweet sense of humor about her. And she was so naive, I could pull things on her and she just wouldn't quite catch it. And this is years ago, and then finally when she did get a joke, get out! And she hit me on the arm, and those of you that know her, I'd call her Joy Bells, and she'd laugh. She thought that was the funniest thing. I'd say, hey, Joy Bells, it's me. And I miss her every day. I get up in the morning and think, I gotta call her. And she was a sweetheart. She'd come to my house and put on my husband's slippers. I don't know why she liked them, but she did. And she'd fall asleep in the chair as we're watching television. And about 3 weeks before she died, I went to see her. And I went in her room. She didn't remember me. She had a real hard time with that, but she pretended like she did. And when I left, I didn't think I'd see her again. And I told Larry when he called me and said how bad she was, I planned to see her Tuesday, and he said she wouldn't make it. But, you know, in my heart, I just knew the last time I left, it would be the last time. I know she's in heaven. We talked about prayer. She said, I'm working my way back to the Lord. And some of those decisions that she'd made that Larry talked about, they weren't so good, but she came back and she told people she'd been praying for me because I had some health problems. And she meant it. She meant it. And I know when I get to heaven, she's going to stand here and say, and after you, I insist.
Aunt Joy, one of our steady babysitters as a child. I don't know what my parents ever said to her before they left, but I can assure you she didn't listen. First stop was often the Meyer bulk candy section, followed by a couple of movies. Like, I may have been 5 or 6, and Luke had been 7 or 8. I think we were watching Friday the 13th. Halloween.
Yeah. Pictures.
Yeah, she was the cool aunt. She was a great aunt. You know, there were times I'd take a call from Vicki when she was at Sentinel Point, and Lenny, we have a problem. And I knew I had to involve Al, all the way in Holland. These are tough calls to make. You know, how do you reach out to a guy sometimes 10 o'clock at night? Mom has to go to the hospital. You know, do you think you could pick up the phone and I call Al? Hello? Hey Al, this is what's going on. You know, I'm really nervous about it. Here's Al on the other end. All right, man. I'm on my way. She was lucky to have you. You did a phenomenal job. As I got older and started working in the office with Joy, I had the pleasure of doing some lunches with her. And she loved getting out of the homes, getting out and seeing the city again. And one of her favorite beverages, and it's a Treece thing, was ranch. She loved it. And I loved her. She was a wonderful aunt. She is missed dearly, but definitely not forgotten.
I can ask you to ask.